use cases. This is where a lot of the people I talk to get stuck. What am I going to use to prove AI works for me? How do I choose? So going back, I've mentioned various times about what types of projects you want to choose. Look at things like you want something that you clearly understand, but you don't quite understand what you can do to save it. It's a weird scenario, but it's, do you have the data available? Do I have data available to do this? Do I have metrics on it? Does it have a business impact? Are my users keen to use it? So again, this is the magic piece. If the users see something that could be magical to them or something that could be groundbreaking, they're more likely to be involved. Can we have the technology to do it? You can't ask the AI to go and predict the lottery numbers. It was not going to be able to do that. There's no technical way AI can read into the future. So you got to be realistic about what you choose, but you also got to understand that the ways of selecting the project. So look at business impact, look at those things. You also want to have something which is reasonably low risk as well. So one company I'm working for, we're looking for low risk, internal facing projects that we can enhance. And I think we've identified a few of them where we do coding documentation of systems. So we use AI, well, we use APIs to pull off the coding infrastructure. We then use that to generate the architecture building blocks of what we've actually implemented. And then we can roll that up into a solution architecture. So we're reverse engineering our system into reference architecture documentation using AI. This is currently being built out. We're trying to work out how to make it work. But we're finding some very good ground because the aim is we want to be able to create the infrastructure as code from the architecture design documents directly without a CI/CD person in the loop. And so we can say, break this down into architecture building blocks. We want to apply this to Amazon using Amazon ecosystem, build me the actualization or the logical layer, and then build me the infrastructure script from it so the AI can do all those things. It seems to work both ways, manually massaging it. We're trying to now automate some of that aspect. You also want to look at what is high impact on your business. AI is really good at handling text. So customer service chatbots, very good way of doing it. But again, be careful what rights you give the AI engine and make sure it's got escalation pathways. So there's a very good project done by Slalom and Covenant House where they're rolling out an AI engine to help their most needy clients. And they got these lovely short circuit mechanisms that when certain things are said, there's certain detections, it will escalate automatically to a human in the loop. And so they have, using the AI engine to do detection, they got reasonable success rate on that detection of threatening behaviors that will escalate it to a phone call. AI is really good at those sort of situations of picking out nuance in certain language, and you can then have it route with proper agentic workflow, route to the right person. Document processing is another one. PDFs are a pain to process. They are horrible documents. It's probably the worst standard ever because you can do weird things to PDF documents to make them very hard to code analyze. They're designed for your printer. They're not designed for humans, but they found it was a compact format, and that's why it stayed as a processing format. Because of that, extracting text from PDFs in an accurate way is hard. There are various tools like Docling is very good at doing. It's probably the most accurate one so far. In one of my GitHub repositories, I have a code comparator, which will compare all the PDF extraction tools for their accuracy. So if you want, I keep enhancing it. It's all AI generated. I'm probably going to do another tranche of work over Christmas where I update it to a new set of PDF processing libraries. It looks at JavaScript processing libraries and Python processing libraries, compares their accuracy and gives you, based on this result, this engine found 5,000 words, this engine found 4,000 words, this engine found 3,000 words. And then it looks at which one's the most accurate based on various criteria within that. Again, so documents are good. Code generation, absolutely amazing, really. You don't want to, but you've got to be, if you're doing code generation, you got to be precise. Treat it like a proper ticket, a proper design document. It's not just build me a UI. It's build a UI with these forms, these fields, with this validation. It's give it the spec, have test cases created by another agent to test that UI properly and say, right, you are an agent who does QA, you are testing the UI out of the system, take this design specification and create me the test cases, the test unit test to put in the system. Have the QA engine generate the unit tests, have the coding engine generate the code, run the two together, see what fails, what don't fail. Don't give your engine the ability to write the unit tests and the code, because the agent will change the unit tests if the unit tests don't pass sometimes. So you can find separation of concern, but it is very good for code generation. And then research and analysis. There's some very good ways you can use AI because of all the tools that they've been added to them. You can do web searches, you can do consolidation of data, always watch your context window, but it's very good at finding out information, and it's also good at reporting out where it got this information from. So I always do on my prompts, I say maintain a URL reference table, and that reference table has 5 fields, which is basically URL, title, summary of the page that it pulled. So always summarize the page you've read, then a quality index, and then why I used that page or what I used from that page. From those 5 fields, and I also sometimes add the date and a few other things in there as well. So when was the date page published? From those 5 fields, though, I can then go in manually and look at the URL, check it's a valid URL, look at the page, compare the summary of the page to what the AI said it was summarized, and then look at why it used that page. And it's actually a very good way of doing a very fast check of where those references worked and where they didn't work. When you do your prompt and you ask for a reference table, it will give you the references in the text as well. And so there you can say, okay, this reference 1 was used here. I know that paragraph is wrong because that reference is wrong. So you then go back and say, your reference 1 was wrong. Can you update your document based on that? Please find a new alternative source for that information, or validate that information and give me alternative sources for it. And the AI will go ahead and update, and it'll give you some good feedback on where it went wrong. The other one is repetitive tasks. What do you want that users do that can't be done easily? So some people are using AI to write their policy documents or their instruction documents. So it's tasks that are arduous. They're repetitive sometimes. They're ways. It's choose the projects that will have good impact on your well-being of your employees, that solve problems they have. And then you definitely want to avoid anything to do with health, AI, life, death decisions. You don't want AI deciding to do an MRI scan analysis and deciding whether that patient should be, what medical treatment that patient should have. There are some good systems out there. I built one that did triage of CT scans, and that would basically give this person has an issue, this person doesn't have an issue, and then it will get passed on to a radiologist to go and tell us what was the actual issue in it. Again, we just got that company got FDA approval last month on it, which is a great goal. It took us a year for the FDA to come through with the approval. That was life and death. So we had to go through so many ethics questions, so much governance questions about building this AI system out, that how are we managing the data, how are we controlling this stuff. A CT scan is a photograph of someone. It's a very personal photograph of someone. And so it's very sensitive data. It's people's health history. It's got metrics in the CT scan which give a lot of detail about that person. So we had to be really highly regulated and really highly we had to make sure that we had things in place. So that's not a good first project to build out. AI is not going to be perfect. I have an AI research agent that looks for doing my customer application catalog updates. So it'll look at an application, it'll produce information about application, the life cycle, the versions of that application, the fix lists, and look at things I should be worrying about for that particular application. When I rerun it and I ask it for the capabilities of the application, every time I run the capability question in that prompt, it comes back with a different set of capabilities, because it's trying to infer the capabilities from the sales speak, not from a capabilities list within the system. So be careful what information you need to be perfect. Avoid that unless you have a good source for it to come from. And then the other one is the naysayers, the resistant users. They're going to derail your project. They're going to undermine what you do. Make sure they're managed well. So in business intelligence, we always identified who they were up front. So it's your stakeholder analysis. Who is going to resist what we're doing? Who is going to support us what you're doing? And then how can we bring them on board? How can we educate them to help them understand the worries they have? Because people, resistant users have reasons for being resistant. Try and understand where they're coming from, guide them forward. But again, if you have resistant users, it's not a good idea for a first use case. And then, yeah, pick your use cases, build a portfolio and deliver.